Hello everyone, this is Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. I did a video earlier and I was wrong. I was absolutely and completely wrong. I watched a video from Sane Progressive today and she went over fire and thunder. I love her. She is fire and thunder. That woman was in flames. She has an intensity about her, man. She gets it across. Her intensity matches whatever the severity of what she's talking about at the time. So it's, okay, I'm just telling you something, or, oh my God, I'm on cloud fucking nine because this is something that you need to know about. I was wrong. I did a video that said I was bothered by this idea of Hillary Clinton being locked up because it feels like a banana republic for one party to lock up another member of another party when they've done something. Or at the very least, you had your bite at the apple. They didn't necessarily take it, and it seems like a political witch hunt. I was wrong. I want to read something. I've read this report before. This is a report, the VIPS memorandum, intelligence professionals, veteran intelligence professionals, who looked at what took place and looked at the forensic evidence of the hacks and found that it was a leak. Not a hack. Russia didn't hack us. It was a leak. And the files themselves, the information, the evidence, was manipulated to make it look like Russia hacked us. Think about that. Somebody manipulated evidence to make it look like a foreign government hacked this country. A complicit, ridiculous mainstream media, those plastic people who they put up like stooges, jumped on the story and ran with it. Didn't interrogate it. You have these intelligence professionals who, for whatever reason, went along with the story. That right there is questionable and interesting, and it begs the question of why. These people looked at this evidence and came to a pretty conclusion. Their conclusion was based on, guess what? Evidence. I've read this report before. I'm just going to read the bottom. Key among the findings of the independent forensic investigation is the conclusion that the DNC data was copied onto a storage device at a speed that far exceeds an internet capability for a remote hack. Meaning, the speed that it takes you to do something when you're hacking into somebody else's computer from remotely, it takes a little while. As opposed to you being local, right there copying the file. The speed is going to be different just because you're right there copying the file. That's physics. That's physics. That's 1 + 1 is 2. That's not this mystical stuff. That's physics. What they're saying is basic physical evidence. Yes, it's data in that sense, but the forensic data is essentially making the point of it wasn't a hack. It was a leak. Of equal importance, the forensic shows that the copying and doctoring were performed on the East Coast of the United States. As far as I know, the East Coast of the United States is not in Russia. It's not in Russia. Thus far, mainstream media has ignored the findings of these independent studies here and here. Now, the part I want to get to is when they go into this idea of the Russians thing. Mr. President, this is our first VIP memorandum for you. But we have a history of letting U.S. presidents know when we think our former intelligence colleagues have gotten something important wrong. And why? For example, our first such memorandum, a same-day commentary for President George W. Bush on Colin Powell's UN speech on March 5, 2003, warned that the unintended consequences were likely to be catastrophic should the United States attack Iraq and justify the war on intelligence that we retired intelligence officers could readily see was fraudulent and driven by a war agenda. You don't say. You don't say. When people are looking at the evidence honestly, they come to a conclusion that says, hey, this seems like bullshit evidence to me. I don't understand why these guys are doing this. Well, they wanted a war agenda. The July 6th intelligence community assessment by a hand-picked analyst from the FBI, CIA, and NSA seems to fit the same agenda-driven category. It is largely based on an assessment not supported by any apparent evidence that a shadowy entity with the moniker Guccifer 2.0 hacked the DNC on behalf of Russian intelligence and gave DNC emails to WikiLeaks. The recent forensic finding mentioned above have put a huge dent in that assessment and cast serious doubt on the underpinnings of the extraordinarily successful campaign to blame the Russian government for hacking. The pundits and politicians who have led the charge against Russia meddling in the US election can be expected to try to cast doubt on the forensic findings, if they ever do bubble up into mainstream media. But the principle of physics don't lie, and the technical limitations of today's internet are widely understood. We are prepared to answer any substantive challenges on their merits, meaning you can't do it. They're making the point that what they're saying took place is physically impossible. This is what they're saying. They're not making it up. They're saying from a physics standpoint, the narrative that the media has been taking is a lie. The narrative that the Democrats have been using is a lie. For 7 months, they've screamed Russia at the top of their lungs. They're out there right now, putting in sanctions against the Russian government for something that the Russian government didn't do, at least from a physics standpoint, couldn't do. That's what we're dealing with right now. You may wish to ask the CIA director, Mike Pompeo, what he knows about this. Our own lengthy intelligence community experiences suggest that it's possible that neither the CIA director, John Brennan, nor the cyber warriors who worked with him have been completely candid with their new director regarding how it all went down. You're being lied to. You're being lied to. And you're being lied to in a capacity that puts at war with a nuclear nation and putting sanctions on that nation and driving us close to the war. Why? Why would somebody do that? Who profits? Who profits? That's the question. Who profits? As indicated above, the independent forensic work just completed focused on data copied, not hacked, by a shadowy persona named Guccifer 2.0. The forensics reflect what seemed to have been a desperate effort to blame Russia for publishing highly embarrassing DNC emails 3 days before the Democratic convention last July. Since the content of the DNC emails reeked of pro-Clinton bias, her campaign saw an overriding need to divert attention from content to provenance, as in, who hacked those DNC emails. The campaign enthusiastically supporting the compliant mainstream media, and they're still on a roll. The Russians were the ideal culprit, and after WikiLeaks editor Julian Assange announced on June 12th, we have emails related to Hillary Clinton which are a pending publication. Her campaign had more than a month before the convention to insert her own forensic facts in quotes and prime the media to pump the blame on Russian meddling. Mrs. Clinton PR staff, Jennifer Palmer, has explained how she used golf carts to make rounds at conventions. She wrote that her mission was to get the press to focus on something that we would find difficult to process. The prospect that Russia had not only hacked and stolen from the DNC, but it had also done so to help Donald Trump to hurt Hillary Clinton. They made it up. In the book Shattered, it showed they made it up. She was embarrassed. How did you lose to reality show hosts? How did you lose to reality show hosts? I'm sorry you lost to reality show hosts. Oh man, it has to hurt that you lost to reality show hosts. I'm so sorry that you lost to reality show hosts. Hey, can we have an interview to talk about how you lost to reality show hosts? Guess what? It wasn't a reality show host. I have an idea. It was Russia. Russia hacked us. Comey hit me in the knees. We need to get the word out that Russia hacked us. I wasn't a horrible candidate. It wasn't that I was under FBI investigation for like a year. It wasn't that I should have been locked up for being under FBI investigation at that point. Being Comey would have did his job. I should be in prison right now. It wasn't that I stuck a thumb in the eye of progressives. It wasn't that we cheated Bernie Sanders. None of those things. It was none of those things. I am blameless. I am blameless. My choice for Tim Kaine was an awesome choice. My choice to run in a way going to the right was an awesome choice. I'm Hillary Clinton. I did fucking awesome. I lost because of Russia and Comey. The media ate it up. And that's been the narrative for the past 7 months. They're making the point that this narrative, to some degree, is for reasons. If they're putting in evidence to make it look like Russia did it, somebody had to put in that evidence. Somebody is tampering with evidence to point the finger at a foreign government. Something is going on in the Democratic Party that needs to be investigated. Lock them up. I'm on the lock them up train. Jeff Sessions should investigate the Democratic Party. In fact, he needs to investigate each and everything that took place in regards to those emails. He needs to send troops, agents. They should have did it earlier, to take those servers, and they should go through those things with a fine-tooth comb. They should ask question after question after question. Donald Trump is right. There needs to be a massive investigation in regards to what takes place in the DNC. If they're going to do things to foment a war, then we need to make sure that Russia actually hacked us, which means we need to go through these files with a fine-tooth comb. We need to go through what the Democratic Party did with a fine-tooth comb. And you need to find who's the shadowy Guccifer, who's the person that meddled in the files themselves. Once Donald Trump proves that it wasn't Russia, much of his problems goes away. That's what you should have been focused on, Donald Trump. That's what you should be pushing Jeff Sessions on. Not to go after Hillary Clinton. If you find someone in Hillary Clinton, fine, lock her up. I don't care. At this point, the Democratic Party has made a decision to go out and foment a war against a foreign government. Bernie Sanders, as an independent, has decided to not be a socialist, to not be the honest guy, to fall in line with the Democratic Party as they go about this batshit crazy thing of positioning us in conflict with a nuclear power nation. All because she lost. All because they didn't want to talk about themselves. All because they didn't want to deal with the issues that are affecting their particular party. That they didn't want to deal with 15 million people leaving their party. It was better to position us in this particular weird way where we're putting sanctions on another government for something they didn't do. Something they didn't do. Do your job, Jeff Sessions. Do your job. Deal with the DNC. You may have some feelings about it because it feels like a witch hunt. It's not a witch hunt at this point. You have the evidence with these people saying, yes, somebody doctored information to make it look like Russia did it. If Donald Trump was looking for something to get Russia off his ass, certainly this is the thing that gets Russia off your ass. This is the thing that you need to be paying attention to. This is the thing that you need to be focusing your energies on. If you want the press to get off your ass, give them something juicier. Give them something juicier. What about a Watergate on the Democrat side? What about a situation where a candidate, whether a party, whether a national committee, some aspect of what took place in that last election where these people did something crooked and disgusting and literally tried to frame another nation for their own vagaries and fuck-ups? It was leaked. It wasn't hacked. In the mainstream media, you are hacks. You are hacks. Chuck Todd, do your goddamn job. Jake Tapper, do your goddamn job. Your job is not to sit there and be a cheerleader for what goes on in regards to these politicians. Your job is to figure this shit out. What are you? What are you? Are you just corporate stooges, or are you actually out there doing your job? They're actually trying to foment a war, putting on sanctions for something that never took place. And for 7 and 8 months, you've primed the country saying that Russia has something to do with it. And some of those other dumbass Democrats were standing up saying a hack that didn't take place was the same thing as some kind of military assault on our nation. You idiots were leaked. You weren't hacked. Russia had nothing to do with it. These sanctions are fucking baloney. Anybody that goes along with it should not get your vote. They should not get your vote. It's that clear. It's that straightforward. They're trying to foment a war for something that didn't take place. Whether mainstream media gets this or not, that narrative is bogus. Whatever they're trying to do something in regards to some kind of war or some kind of conflict with these nations. These sanctions are the first step. Fall in line with this. You're a fucking disgusting human being. Donald Trump, if you're going to do something, this is what you need to do. If you're trying to have some kind of gentle ties with Russia, they're trying to block you from doing anything. Jeff Sessions should not necessarily look at Hillary Clinton. Jeff Sessions should look at that prior campaign and everything dealing with what's taking place in regards to this thing being leaked, not hacked. That's where your interest should be. It was leaked, not hacked. Meaning somebody, either in the Clinton campaign, either in the DNC, somebody made the decision to do something to those files to make it look like somebody else did something, and then lied to the FBI, lied to the NSA, lied to these other agencies to get across that, hey, pretend it was Russia. Who were the nincompoops? Who were the stooges? Who were the people that they handpicked and chose to look at that and make that determination? Who? You need to go over the evidence with a fine-tooth comb and not handpick, but actually use professionals. Pull these guys in who are veterans of this. Donald Trump, if you're listening, you're probably not, but if you're listening, this is what you need to focus on if you want them off your ass. This breaks the DNC. If Jeff Sessions gets into this and reveals evidence, if he reveals evidence that they not only lied about the hack, that it was a leak, you destroyed this idea of media outright. They've been lying about this for 7 months. If this story breaks, it breaks the DNC and it breaks the mainstream media. That narrative goes away. Your presidency has been freed up. They've been found to be liars. That's where you need to hit. That's where you need to find prosecutions. And you need to throw their ass in prison. They're literally trying to frame another nation. Lock them up. Lock them up. I'm with the Trumpsters. Lock her up. Lock her up. No, I don't want it to be a witch hunt. But yes, they need to investigate each and everything that had anything to do with this. Certainly, it's a crime to pretend that another nation has hacked us in your particular campaign. Certainly, what took place in the Clinton Foundation were crimes. Certainly, the email thing was a crime. It's one crime after the next. Yes, I'm uncomfortable with this idea of Donald Trump locking her up. I am more pissed off at the thing of what took place in regards to them changing this evidence to frame another nation. That pisses me off. And I feel like there has to be something concerning the DNC. Has to be. Whether Hillary Clinton knew anything or not, who knows? That's why you have investigations. They can investigate you, you can investigate them, and get Jeff Sessions on their ass. I'll leave it at that. This is amazing. This is absolutely amazing. This is the shit that they're spending their time doing. They're literally fomenting a war against another nation, and each and every Democrat fell in line, and their crazy ass Maxine Waters was... I'm not going to take shots at Maxine Waters. I'm just saying she was being ballistic and crazy. And come to find out, their narrative was bullshit. Hillary Clinton is writing a book doubling down on that bullshit narrative about Russia hacking them. She just lost. She just lost. This is amazing. I'm going to put this article in again. I'm doing a video again because it's mind-blowing. I mean, it's a mind-blowing revelation. It wasn't a leak. I mean, it wasn't a hack. It was a leak. And not just a leak. Somebody forged the evidence. And not just somebody forged the evidence. It was somewhat obvious if you did the actual forensic evidence based on our skills and experience. Why didn't the people who were supposed to be in these agencies understand that? It's supposed to be simple as physics. Who changed the evidence to make it look like Russia? These are fascinating and interesting questions that if we have a Justice Department, the Justice Department should be looking into. If you're looking to lock somebody up in the Democratic Party, this will be the crime that you're looking to do it, and it frees you up in multiple ways. It hurts that party, breaks this narrative of Russia having something to do with hacking, and it undermines their attempt to undermine your legitimacy by saying Russia got you in that office. If this was chess, that would be the move to make. Stop pushing him to do Clinton. That's trying to obfuscate. Deal with the DNC. You can milk your way to Clinton just by evidence in the DNC itself. That's my advice to you, Donald Trump. Lock him up. Lock him up. Hand in hand with Trumpsters. Lock him up. Leave it at that. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, write, subscribe, and you can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you.